D'Argenio, Director of the Customer Account Management Team. Welcome to our webinar today, The Basics of Reporting in Unanet. I see we have a fairly large crowd today and a lot of familiar names. So welcome to our free CAM bi-weekly webinar. We're really excited to have you come join us today. And I'm really excited to share with you some insight on how to navigate your Unanet instance more efficiently and create and view those real-time metrics that you need to see, make better use of your time. And with the ability to save and share reports and understand what type of reports are available that you might not be effectively using today, and really be able to show you a few tips, I hope to help you maximize your effectiveness viewing and sharing the valuable information that you're collecting in your Unanet system today. I have a few housekeeping notes, of course. You might experience some networking or internet delays or a lag in the response time. If your screen does stop updating, please just drop off and re-enter the conference again. That's no issue. And today I have Tandy Fleckner, Customer Account Manager with our team, that's going to be monitoring the questions box for you today. If you have questions along the way, don't hesitate to type your question in to that box at the bottom of your GoToWebinar screen, and she will be responding. And I'll also take questions at the end of the webinar as well. So Tandy, are you there?
I am. Hi Sherry, and hi everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Perfect. Thanks. Thanks for monitoring that questions box for me. I appreciate that. All right. So I still see some people logging in, so we'll just get started here. All right, so if in CAM, we frequently hear from you, our customers, especially a few months after implementation, and you've gone live with the system, that you want to get some specific information out in a way that you want to view it. And because ultimately it is the slicing and dicing of this information, these transactions in Unanet, labor and cost transactions that you're collecting, that your project managers, your CXOs, your people managers, your proposal writers, the finance department, they need to view all this information to analyze it, and really to make better, earlier decisions on their projects, keeping them on track. So I thought this might be, if you can't measure it, then you can't improve it, right? So this is what we're here today to find out how to report on it so you can look at it and make some decisions upon it. So probably the most powerful advantage of using Unanet is the reporting and dashboard capability. It can sometimes be overwhelming with so many reports and options for the standard built-in reports. Which reports are for what type of organization, people, or projects, with probably more than almost 1,000 different reports with all of the different options and variations. Well, how do you narrow down which ones to run for which type of user, your CEO or your VP of Professional Services or your everyday time and expense user? In addition to these reports, you have the portfolio license offers a number of charts and graphs that you can tailor with the selection criteria and drill down to discover the real-time data that constitutes the chart or graph, and you can store it on your home dashboard. Then if you still need certain information in a particular format that's not provided by all of those thousands of standard reports and the ad hoc reporting, the ad hoc reporting is an option for all license types. It's really almost a data dump of information of certain fields, so you can look at those and assess it. This combines the ability to create additional user-defined fields as well and report on those fields, and sorting and or calculating if you need to. So really, the possibilities are almost endless, and yet they can be very, very overwhelming. So you've chosen Unanet as your one single integrated system with entering your time and maybe expenses as well, your collaboration and documentation storing at the project level, and you're possibly forecasting and planning using the portfolio license type. So also you can stay on budget and on time and maybe meet your DCA compliance requirements and have your customers really 100% satisfied. So let's learn how to maximize the real-time dynamic reporting capability in your Unanet. What we're going to try to cover today, or focus on today, is more about what reports are available, how to analyze the questions that you have, what information do you want to view so you can understand and figure out what report you might want to run, and then how to manage your dashboard to suit your specific needs or your requirements. We know there's valuable information. It's input into your Unanet system via the timesheets and, for some of you, those expense reports. So the key element is how to retrieve this information out of the system in a useful manner for you to analyze your business's current status and share these metrics with your team, the enterprise, finance department, or stakeholders. So Unanet has a powerful assortment of built-in reports. The Reports tab dashboard contains a variety of reports which users have access to based on which Unanet products are installed, what license type you have, and what role a user has. I thought it might be a useful reference to list the standard reports available per license type, so you'd have this PowerPoint to keep on hand and reference. So this is a list of the project time license reports that are available. So you can see there's timesheets and approvals, time details with timesheet status report and a pie chart, accruals and leave balances. Accruals are for the user and the manager of people. There's real-time reporting on those labor details, daily actuals information, and a summary also of time entered in a performance summary of information on those actuals. There's a project status report here that's a financial point of view, and then there's an actual versus budget at a summary level, and that can be at the project level and at the person level. And also there's percent complete with the project status showing collective estimates of a percent complete of a project or even at the task level. So information to collaborate and share with your workforce with project notes, and finally integration to any other third-party systems, accounting, payroll, etc. Now moving on to the tracking license, it combines the time and expense capabilities, and that's called the project tracking license. And included with this license is all the previous reports for time, plus the capability to report on true costs or burden costs if it's set up in the system. That needs to be set up in your system under the cost report. And these reports associated with billing and invoicing, again, if these features are set up in your Unanet system. And project costing, as Unanet defines it, it's the ability to report on burden costs for your labor and expenses. And obviously the list of available reports starts to grow with these available reporting features in the project tracking license. Again, it's the time license, time capabilities plus expenses, along with additional features of the cost summary report, cost report for accounting purposes for your burden costs, as well as billing and invoicing, as well as the earned value management as well. And then our premier license type right now is what's called the portfolio license, and it provides all the reporting capability of the tracking license described earlier and the forecasting and planning features along with resource management. This is our premier license type, and so that has the most powerful reporting with it. The periodic reporting, which is really the second column, I call it right here for the most part, it's the periodic reporting that's the comparing of actuals with budgets and plans, forecasting hours and budgets in the future along with resource scheduling, and it's really a reporting format period over period, for instance month over month, quarter over quarter, week by week if you needed that level of granularity. This is really Unanet's forward thinking and planning capability to not only view the history of the project transactions up to this moment right now today, but more importantly forecasting and predicting what those transactions might be in the future, and as well as plan your resources, your employees, understanding their availability to work on projects and what their associated costs and revenue might be as if they are assigned to work on the certain projects or new proposals. So again, the portfolio license includes the resource scheduling, forecasting, capacity planning, budgeting, skills management, and the periodic reporting, along with the array of additional charts and graphs that give you a visual of information and the ability to drill down to see the actual metrics behind that picture. So I thought another reference for you, I'm going to click into this tab here, is under the online documentation and our help documentation. If you do a search on reporting, it's going to come up with this help link. And if you scroll toward the bottom, there's a sheet here that I wanted to show you. This is a great reference for you to know which reports are available with which license type. So you can see here there's a little key here that determines, T means if you have the time functionality, E means you have the expense functionality, T and E is both time and expense. You can see the little dot notation here in the parentheses that explains what license it's associated with. So if you have a question about a report and don't know if you have the availability for you based on your license, you can check this on the online help documentation. And just click in online and do reporting, online help, and just type in the word reporting. So now you have all the standard built-in report lists per license type. Another great reference are these how-to guides. This section of the dashboard will contain links to additional instructions. And these tips are displayed, they'll vary depending on what your role is logged into the Unanet system. So sometimes we're so focused on our normal mode of operation that these how-to tips are not noticed, but they do provide useful and valuable, easy to access information on a topic that you may need to learn more about. Most important, it's the help documents. The help document is a well-written reference document that you can use to help answer your questions that you might have and share with others. So I'll give you a brief tour here in just a moment. So one of the most common questions that I have, or our customer account managers have from you, is why can't I see a report? I should have access to it, but why can't I view it? Why can't I view the metrics? It's not coming up with no, comes up with no data. So a number of things for you to think about is ensuring that you do, in fact, have the correct role. If you want to see billing information, then you want to make sure you have that bill rate manager role to be able to see bill rates. You also want to make sure that you have the right organizational access to groups of projects or groups of people. Those groupings are grouped in Unanet called organizations. You might need to have access to those organizations to be able to view metrics with those associations of data with those organizations. In addition, you might need to have project access to a particular project. If you're not the project manager or the resource planner, then you may need to just view information or metrics for a project. You might need to have the role of project viewer and organization or project access to that particular projects. Also, there's the capability of all projects that I can see versus just the projects that I am responsible for. And that means my projects or my primary approvers or my primary projects versus all projects that I can see, which is granted through organizational access. That's an option on the Reports tab at the very top. And defaulted there, it's always my primary projects or my primary people. So just some tips on there to help you to understand. Also, the role that you have in Unanet is very, very important. Unanet is a roles-based system, which means what you see and do, as well as report on, is directly tied to your job role or job function in Unanet. So what you can view and what you can edit, it's defined by your role. And Unanet allows you to limit or restrict who can see and report on certain projects and people, and who can edit certain projects and people. And again, it's all tied to what role you have in your Unanet. And the setup of these roles and the people and projects are defined and created by your Unanet administrator. So if you're not the administrator and you have questions, you'd want to see your administrator first. You can view your own role by clicking into the Preferences link to verify your available role that you have set up. It's on the upper right-hand corner where your Help documentation tab is as well and where you log out. So it might be that you need a combination of roles to access cost information or billing revenue information along with the project manager role for the project. Another key element is to note the giving or restricting of the proper access to areas in the organization organization. You want to ensure you have the proper access set up to execute and view those available reports. The administrator is the one who grants this access to certain or all people or all project organizations to allow or restrict access to these metrics. So this is accomplished via the person's profile under the Organization Access tab for each person. Your administrator would be the one to do that. In addition, the project access under the Administrators tab may be another level of access that would need to be granted to view project information at that level. And finally, in the project or people report criteria, there is that report on that I talked about, ensuring that it's all projects or all people I need to see versus just the primary projects or people that I'm responsible for. This can open up the list of projects or people based on your org access as well as your project access. And for more information about this, we do have a webinar covering totally for 1 full hour roles and organizational access. You'd want to look at that under the Knowledge Center. Just look for webinar, do a search in there for webinar roles and org access, and that's a great reference as well. Now, a few quick tips on the search criteria. Using the selection criteria in the reports, there is the % sign that is just like a wild card. It matches any number of characters. So you can use that when defining, as an example here, looking at the full list of the last names in this example. The % sign plus some characters allows you to do a search on any of those values starting with those letters. Now, there's also a way to do the underscore, as you can see here, with A_Z, with anything with starting with an A, with the middle letter being anything at all, and then the third letter being Z. So you can take advantage of the underscores as well. Depending on your naming conventions, probably more appropriately with the project naming convention, you can take more advantage of these wildcard searches. You can also insert a comma in your search, so if you're looking for a last name that starts with C, T, it'll only show up those last names that start with C and T. So do make sure that you take advantage of those search criteria in your all reporting options. So each report has many reporting options or criteria depending on the kind of information that you need to view. You need to think about the information that you want to see, how often, which reports or organizations are across multiple organizations, and to what level do you need to report dollars. Is it in cost or is it in bill rates? Is it on planned information, on budgeted information, on those resource assignments? What's the date range that you need to look at information? Is it historical from this point back, a certain month, or by time period? Or is it through, how often? So when you look at the criteria here, here's the example of the report on. I've got here the all projects I can see, and I'll show you this in the system here shortly. This is different than the my projects. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the right information here in that selection. You can look at many projects by selecting the organization that the projects are associated with. Same as the person. There's a grouping of people, and what is their organization or grouping of those people. You can see all those people by selecting the org code for the person. You can look at this as an example for schedule details, the project manager, listing it with a % sign and selecting that particular project manager and then viewing all of those details for that particular project manager's people. You have a definition on project type. Project type is something that's set up for in the system by the administrator when you're configuring your system. So you can set up project type, and maybe you only want to look at billable or direct projects, or maybe your internal projects or your R&D projects, or maybe just your proposals. Same with the status. You want to look at open projects or closed projects, or maybe opportunities that are RFPs. You can set all of that up and select just certain ones. So it's the criteria of selection. Also, in this case, there's the date ranges. We do have the relative date ranges, which are very useful, for instance, this calendar, current month or current year or current quarter, to be able to view and save that information so that you don't have to update that date range every time you execute a saved report or a shared report. Again, the scheduling type, in this case, we're looking at the assignments, the scheduling of those assignments and including any actuals. So I have the selection to show assignments, or if I'm planning or predicting or forecasting the future, I might want to be able to report on those plans as well versus the actuals. And then including the budget in the entire budget, or just including the one during the performance period, the date range. So you'll see here there's a number of different options here to kind of think through, and every one of those selections can provide different types of output or form of information. So you have to be really aware of what options you're choosing to be able to get the right metrics out for what you need to see and how you need to see it. All right, so let's probably hop into our demo system right now. I'm going to check the time and see how we're doing. All right, so I'm logging into my demo system right now. I did want to show you really quickly that help documentation one more time. Selecting that right-hand button there, I can look in here and do a search on the index. I can do a search here with reporting. I think I want to show you an example of that, if I can type out correctly. And there's the option here for reporting. And I'm able to look down and look at either dashboards or working with saved reports, organizational access, emailing reports, ad hocs. We're going to talk about all that today, hopefully. Report by module. This is the area that I was discussing earlier about which reports are associated with what type of feature or functionality. All right, so let's move to I wanted to show you really quickly the preferences. Remember, you're able to look at your own roles that have been set up for your by your administrator. I'm logged in right now as the administrator to be able to show you some administrator options as well. All right, so let's look at that Reports tab. Based on the role that I have set up, I'm able to see all of these top options here, and I am the administrator for the system, but I'm not a timesheet and expense user, so just note that you won't see the time and expense tabs logged here as well under my administrator. I'm running the project portfolio license type, so you see I have the full gamut of reports available to me. You can not show certain sections of the reports by clicking these little diamonds or I guess triangles here, and only look at a certain section on that reports tab. So if I'm only interested in these accounting reports, I can, make the reports tab a little cleaner, not so overwhelming. So just to talk about this section here just a little bit, project reports are at the top. These are great for project metrics information, specifically really for time and materials types of metrics and projects. It's going to show information about hours, labor, your expenses, any imported ODCs that you might have imported, and be able to compare that to budgets, and if you've got the portfolio license, looking at the plans as well, and the periodic shows those formats in a month over month or period over period, day over day, week over week, etc., along with our charts as well. So this is project reports, project information, really focused on time and materials types of projects. If you want to look more at accounting information for all three of the projects, type of contracts, fixed price, time and materials, and time and cost plus, then these accounting reports are probably where you'll want to spend most of your time researching and executing. Especially this cost summary, project cost summary, those are based on that cost report, the one definable configurable report in the system that's going to show you true costs or burden costs. It'll show you revenue, it'll show profit. So just to think about that. Now you can go to any one of these reports and click on the little, or hover over the little I here, and it's going to give you a couple of lines to tell you what that report is capable of showing you. So for instance, this cost summary and status is probably one of my #1 reports that I go to, that I advise all of my project managers to review. It can run a forecasted job summary report for projects for a range, and also include forecasting, which is plans at the future. And I can compare that forecast at completion with any budget information that I might have for the project. and I can include any work that's been included up to today's date or some point in time, maybe the last time pay period or time period, and then moving with assignments moving forward, and I can show it in a periodic form, daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly grid. So it's really a fantastic report, but if you hover over the little eye, it's going to show you all of this information. So the one thing that I wanted to talk about here is if you have a business question, how do I look at this full range of reports and say, well, how do I know which one to run? Well, I wanted you to think about the question that you have. What is it that you're wanting to view? What type of information? Is it project information, or is it revenue, information that's for fixed price or cost plus kind of contracts? If it is project oriented and it's multiple types of contracts or fixed price or cost plus, you're going to want to look at the accounting reports. This is going to show you the accounting reports here. If you're wanting to look at people information, you're going to want to just isolate to these people reports here in this section. So if you're looking at accounting reports per se, let's take a look at the accounting reports here. Do I want to see a summary of information, or do I want to see detailed information for my invoices or my fixed price projects or labor cost details? So ask the question, am I looking at a summary view of information, or do I want to look at more details? So you can see here the box. If I want to see details, I'd come here and maybe choose from one of these and this particular object. For summary, I'd want to look here in this box. For the periodic reports, if I want to see month over month, quarter over quarter, I would come to the periodic options and run these views as well. Okay, so you really want to understand and analyze the type of question that you have, and then come here and just look at the box and see if something is choose from the 5 or 6 here versus the 100. Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about managing your dashboards here. I think I might stay in the system here a little bit. So you can see here, if I go back to my home dashboard here, any of the dashboards here, I'll just show that I don't have anything really set up here. You see that over here I have my reports here, and here are those how-to quick links to be able to send you to a help documentation to show you how to save reports. I've got one list here that's a listing of people that are all my people. And then I've got some quick links here. I was just talking with someone, a customer this morning, and didn't know about the edit the last person and edit the last project. It's an easy way to get back to the project that you've been working with, or the person that you've been working with, or even the organization. And if you're the project manager over, 5 different projects, this manage project list will take you to those 5, a listing of just those 5 projects. So it's really an easy way to get back to that last type of object that you've been working with, as opposed to going to the project list or the people list and doing a search and putting that name in. So I'm just trying to save you a few clicks in maneuvering. So going to this config button here, this is how each user would set up their dashboard. So for instance, each one of these dashboards that I have access to based on my role is coinciding with the respective tab here. So I can set up a dashboard for each one of these objects by setting up, organizations or project example here. So if I'm looking at my home dashboard, for instance, I would look and see, okay, if I would set up my charts, if I were a timesheet user, an expense user, I could change the order of what shows up. Maybe I'd want my timesheets to be at the top and my charts to be second and my expense reports to be third. So I would reorganize that here. I can take those charts, the ones that are shared by the administrator. There's the ability, and I'll show that to you shortly. You can share information, charts, and metrics reports. The administrator can, and then you can select those to be available to load up on your own dashboard. Now again, the metrics that comes out when you run that is based on your role and the organizational project access that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. I could have selected all 3 at the same time, or just one at a time. Saving that. If I go back to this home dashboard now, I can come here, and I should see that charts loaded up and executed on my home dashboard. I think I'm the one experiencing some internet lag here. Okay, here we go. So you can see here, I took those saved shared charts, loaded them on my dashboard, and I can view them now. These are actually great charts, cost summary and status line and bar chart, being able to compare 3 different types of cost elements and chart them, and also have a graphical trend lines as well. So they're great charts. Okay, so let's go back to that config button. And you can see here that I could have my own reports. If I saved a report, then I could show it here, and I could maneuver if I wanted to keep that report there or add it. Then also the shared reports. These are the saved reports by the administrator that I can load up into my home dashboard as well. And I would have access to them under the shared box on the home dashboard. So I'm going back to it, and you can see here now are those are these shared reports that are available to me. So let's go to a report, and I want to show you some options here. Let's look at the periodic reports, and I'm going to look at a group of reports, maybe under the let's see here, under Success North. I have a group of reports here. And I'm going to look at them at month over month for the current year for 12 months. I'm going to show the projects, and maybe I want to show the people that are working on those projects. And I want to show not only the hours, but the hours and the charge details. And I want to look at the cost information associated with those. I'm going to let it default to adjustments that might be included based on the work date, as opposed to no adjustments or adjustments that are used from the posting date if I'm billing in Unanet. And then any adjustments that haven't been approved yet, but they're there. And then any expenses based on the completion of the voucher date, including that. Now, this option here, you really want to think about. Do you want to include expenses based on the line item date in the date range here, or when it was completed, when the voucher was completed, or when it was posted to be ready to put on to an invoice? Or you may also want to choose to include expenses that haven't been approved by their manager yet, but you know what those proposed expenses are going to be. So you want to be able to include and look at those costs. So just some options there to note that do make a big difference in the actual metrics that you're viewing. So you can see here I've got a periodic actuals that are coming through based on hours, labor, and any expenses that I might have in the system for the period. It just looks like I've got January and February set up right now. And I can look at totals based on each one of my organizations and the projects associated with that organization. Now I can come back to the criteria here and save this criteria to a particular dashboard. So if I save it for, I don't know, let's call it Success North Actuals, save it to the dashboard, and go to that home dashboard, I'll be able to see that in my lists. So here's that report. I've saved it. It's in my reports. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It's not my list. It's my reports. So I can come in here, and it saves all of those particular criteria that I saved associated with it, so I can click into it there. Now, as the administrator, I can go back to the criteria because I am logged in as the administrator. I can save that as a saved shared report, and then I can have users call that up and it would be available. So if I go to, under the Reports tab, under Saved, I can look here and see not only is it there for my reports, but if I scroll down to all of the shared reports that are available to all my users, you can see here's the SN Actuals report. So they'll see that as they log in under the shared reports under their config button and be able to save that with all of that same criteria. That way everyone who's running that report is using the same standards, same metrics. They're all standardized, so when they meet on their Friday morning meeting to look at the progress of things, they're all looking at the same metrics with the same reporting criteria. So that's how to save and share a report. All right, let me look at my notes here and make sure I'm covering all that I wanted to show you. Oh, I wanted to show you being able to, let's go to our home dashboard here, several ways to execute this report. So under my home dashboard here, I went a little quickly here, I want to execute reports that are shared on my dashboard, if I execute any shared reports, clicking into it, you'll notice the URL at the top here. This particular URL has a number after it, S_2, or you might see 139, or that unique identifier number is specific to the execution of this report, and this can be shared via email. So if I copy this and I would go to my email Outlook and submit that and send it to a friend, send it to a team member, then as long as they have the right role and organization and project access to the metrics in that report, they'll be able to execute it from that URL link in that email message per se. Okay? So another way to do that I wanted to show you is also with the email reminders. There's the ability to set up the email reminders under this broadcast type of button here. And the broadcast email reminders, they can set up one that's called, let's make a new one, an email reminder. Let's call it broadcast. It'll be a broadcast type. Let's call it the weekly status report. This will be the subject of that email. And then a description, weekly status report for all PMs maybe. And then in this message, please execute and come prepared for the 8:30 staff meeting, something like that. Now here I can also include the URL of that unique report with its identifier, and so that link would show up in this reminder. So if I save that, then the cool thing that I can do is come to the scheduling, and let's see here. Oh, reminders, come here first to reminders, and select it, broadcast weekly status report. I can determine who I want to send it to. If I have different person organizations, maybe I want to send it to all of my, Southeast people. My people belong in the cyber deploy and cyber dev people. Or maybe I want to specify particular approval groups so that I can preview it and see who's on that list to get the messages. If I go back here and schedule it, I can schedule it to come daily, or in my case I wanted it to go out weekly perhaps. Status report, and then I want to send something like that, and then I have a date range. I could say end of time, and I can say, okay, it's going to go out at 6 a.m. on every Friday in preparation for that 8:30 meeting. So you can see, and that email will be sent out to those particular people with the URL. So that's really pretty great. And this is something that the administrator of your system can submit and set that for you. So think about that. That's a great way to do that. Let's see. I wanted to talk a little bit about ad hoc reports as well. So I'm going to go back to my reports tab here and look at ad hoc reports. I can create an ad hoc report based on particular objects in the system. The more important thing to note is what's available in the ad hoc report are user-defined fields. So let's take a look at user-defined fields really quickly. Just going to open up a new tab here. I did that pretty quickly, and I forget that sometimes people don't realize that you can have multiple tabs in Unanet system. If I go to a particular tab and hit right-click, for instance, I can open up a new link and have multiple tabs in the system and just back and forth. I find this really useful when I'm doing a multiple of things, looking at a report, maybe doing some setup information and comparing, reconciling information. So if I go to my admin setup, under the user-defined fields, each of these particular objects can have up to 10 user-defined fields. So in instance, I've got a couple of fields here. They can be of different types of data type. I can even have a URL which has a live link to it. I can have a date or a number or text, or even set up a pick list so I have the options to be able to choose and pick and keep it really specific. So those are great things to note about, and they're actually noted by their label here. So if I go to my ad hoc report, and I want to pull out some project user defined information here. So let's go to the project, and we'll go to project information here. And I can select, any of these fields that are available to you, plus those user-defined fields, but they're labeled based on the actual label that I defined under the UDF. So project website would be here, and let me do my organization code perhaps. Maybe I want to know what the manager name is, and then the project code itself. And then there's a capabilities to have custom columns to do some kind of aggregation on there. I can sort by particular sets of fields. I can break on to get subtotals as well. I can search on only projects that are maybe dated after a certain range or start over a certain range. Any of these fields I can sort and based on the search criteria. And then I can do a summary. There's basic operations of summing and adding and finding the min and max of certain things. And I can run the report or save it to a home dashboard. Let's run it. You can see here, here's my website, here's the organization code, the manager's name, and then the code, the project code. I can even sort these by clicking on that header, so it sorts it alphabetically. I don't know if you knew that or not. Project manager name and the project code, I can sort each field. I have the ability to download as a CSV file that could go to an Excel file. I also have the ability to go to and export the contents of this ad hoc report so I can share it with another team member or by saving it to my home dashboard. I think I have covered in the demo system all the things I wanted to cover. I do have the PowerPoint that I've kind of deviated, but you have the copy of all this in your PowerPoint. It might be a great time, Tandy, to take a few questions that you might have. How's it going?
Hi, Sherry. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Great. It's going very well. I have a few questions. In fact, I just got a question about ad hoc reports, and it says, can we do more than one report column?
Yes, you can. And you can see in this one, I have 4 different columns here that I can define. I can have as many columns that you want, and I can also have an aggregate column or a total column that can be a custom column that's not the field, but it's literally some kind of a calculation of particular fields and a calculation based on the limited amount that I do have is plus and minus and multiplication division type of operators. So that could be a custom column. Okay?
Great. Okay, I have a few more questions for you.
Sure.
With regard to search criteria, when you're running a report, you had mentioned the percent sign where you can get a list of everything, like all projects. Or all
like this.
And the question was, once I have a list of all projects or people, but I want to select only a few, how would I do that?
Okay, that's a great question. So here I've done a selection of all the projects that I have in my system. So I can select here, just like you would select in your browser, I can do a multiple selection with the Shift, or I can do the Control Shift and just select certain ones. Is that making sense here?
Yep.
So I'm doing the Control Shift here, or I can do the Shift selection of multiple ones here. And while we're here, you can be smart about it and saying SE, cyber. I just want to look at just my cyber ones, although I think I've misspelled something here. Because I've got SE cyber here, or I can do percent. I'm only looking at the deploy here. Oops, come up back up here. Let's do SE percent.
Are you there, Sherry? Looks like we have a little delay. Sherry, can you hear me? Looks like we're having a little bit of an audio problem. I'm going to see if I can send a message to Sherry. Okay, everyone, this is Tandy. So while we get the audio back in place, we do have this ability to do, use search criteria and do wildcard searches. We also have the ability to search the list of people and pick only certain last names. And once we have Sherry back with us, we can review that as well. Wanted to let everyone know that we will be sharing the PowerPoint slides that go along with this presentation today with all registrants. In addition, we'll be sharing a link to our Knowledge Center, to a very extensive entry that we have there called the Basics of Unanet Reporting, and we absolutely recommend that Knowledge Center entry to anyone who would like to train other employees on using Unanet reports. Has a great overview of, oh, I see some movement here. Sherry, are you there? Once we get the audio back in place, we can click over to the Knowledge Center and take a look at that entry. As you may or may not know, all of our customers have access to our Knowledge Center. You simply need to click on your URL field. Sherry, are you there?
I am. I was dropped. I apologize. I was dropped like a hot potato on my network and had to reconnect.
There you go.
Come back in. So I'm still not connected to the my VPN personally. So I will try to get there. So keep talking through that.
Well, I was going to say that's all you need to do, everyone, all of our customers, is go to your URL field and simply type in knowledgecenter.unanet.com or kc.unanet.com. This is a public site, and what we've done is we've taken our internal library of reference and we've opened it up to our customers. And there's a variety of content available to you, but we have this great entry on the basics of reporting, and we'll make sure that you have a link to that. So Sherry, I had a few more questions if you're there.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, great. So with regard to search criteria in the reports, I know there's a way to, oh, here's the Knowledge Center. And under reports on the left, yep, and you can search by basics of reporting. There you go.
Thanks, Tandy. Yeah, this is a great one because you not only have all of this information that I just covered, but there's information on very specific reports that you can, go to. That's a sub-page, and you can also. There's an entry in here, how to create a project management report reference guideline with all of this information in it and export just the reports that you want. So do take a look and review this one as well. It shows you how to navigate to the space tools and content and export just the ones you want.
Perfect. Yeah. That's definitely a favorite. I know it's a favorite of mine, and we recommend that you make it a favorite. Okay, so back to the search criteria on reports. When you're searching by person, I know there's a way under the last name field to search for multiple people.
Okay.
Right, where you can put in the first few letters of...
Let's see here. I've got user and I've got lead on mine. So it comes up with user lead. I could put, US, LE, and it would come up all the users and leads.
Great. So another shortcut when you're doing the search criteria. Another thing that people mention to us is the report on field up at the top. All people or all projects I can see. Often that is the reason if you're trying to run a report and nothing comes up, we often will recommend make sure that it says all people I can see or all projects I can see there.
Yeah, and the difference is this is a people report, so if I'm the manager of my two organizations. Those are my people. I'm approving time for them. So those are my primary approvers. So I'm going to look at just those people's information. But if I have org access to 5 other people organizations just to view metrics, then that's the difference. All people I can see will allow me to see not only my people, but the people that I have org access to just view metrics, but not necessarily approve time for them. So there's subtle differences here. And the alternate is I can be an alternate for someone as a people manager. If Tandy goes on sabbatical vacation to the Caribbean for 3 months and she makes me the alternate, then I can go and approve timesheets for her people. And I would have the option to see all of my people plus her people, which might be different from all the people that I can see organizationally with access. Hope that makes sense.
Sounds good. Okay, a couple of other questions. We're going to jump around a bit.
Okay.
You had talked about how-tos and quick links on a user's dashboard, home dashboard. And I wanted to mention that for user reports, if you're utilizing the leave request feature, when you open a new leave request, there are some pop-up user reports that will appear for your users.
I have to log in as a user real quick. Okay, so I'm a timesheet user now. So you can see, based on the role that I have a limited number of tabs that are available to me. I'm just your worker bee that has information or access to time and expenses. So Tandy's referring to that leave request and the leave balance report here. And I don't know if I have legitimate information for this e-user, which I think is Eva. I don't have any information in here yet, but if she had an accrual set up or a bucket of hours set up for her leave, it would show up in this quick pop-up here.
Yep, absolutely. And I always find that we use that here at Unanet, and I always find that very helpful when I'm opening up a leave request to share with my supervisors and managers.
And you can see here, based on her role, there's a quick link here to how to save reports, and it just took her right to that help documentation and help.
Excellent. Okay, and my last question is about shared reports. And you had talked about sharing a report and that people can access those reports. I have a question about whether one of our customers says, can I push a shared report to my team's dashboard? How can I make sure?
That's an interesting question. I'm really glad that you asked that question, whoever you are. So there's a subtle difference in the fact of making the shared report available, but as an administrator, you don't have access to all of your users' dashboards to be able to push it there and store it there for them. They literally do have to go to, I'll log back in as my user B person, and go to that config dashboard here and look under shared reports. And again, I don't have any access by role or org access to those project manager reports, but if I did, they would show up these shared reports and I would be able to load them on to my dashboard here. But the user themselves has to make that, has to actually do that. The administrator doesn't have access to their users' dashboards, if that makes sense. So you can't automatically log or push a shared report.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the best I can offer there is to, email a report like we showed, or schedule that reminder with the URL of that report. So those are the two options there.
And it's always a great idea to share reports simply because there are so many ways to, there's so many different types of criteria when you're running reports. So if you're going to meet with your team and you decide we're going to review, the project performance report together, if you do a shared report, that ensures that everyone's using the same criteria and looking at the same report. So that is really the valuable part of doing shared reports, so that everyone comes together and has the same output to share. So I have one other question that came up that I thought would be a good one to cover.
Okay.
It is, how can I get the charts and graphs function activated? Okay,
so that's a great question. The charts and graphs, for the most part, are available with the project portfolio license. And the portfolio license is the ability to do forecasting, resource management, planning, and the periodic reports, charts, and graphs. So check your license type and see what license type you have today, and check your reports tab to see what kind of reports that are available to you. It might be that you have a time or tracking license and you need to upgrade to our Premier license type portfolio to be able to have the periodic reporting. Once people see that periodic reporting and those charts and graphs and the ability to drill down into that information, it really, a lot of people do make that jump to the Premier license type. Most people do, actually. So, yeah, great question.
Excellent. That was all the questions that I had today.
Okay. I just wanted to take a second to go to just remind everybody that the 2015 Unanet Champions Conference is coming up. We are so excited. We all are very busy working on the content and the final preparations for the conference. It's going to be in May of 2015 in sunny San Diego. If you go to our unanet.com website and the main website, let me just take you there really quickly, if you don't mind. Unanet.com, you'll see, if you can click in here, the 2015 Unanet Champions Conference. It takes you to our CVent site, which is this registration site, and there's a lot of detailed information there if you haven't been there recently. If you're still considering coming, do consider. Today is the last day of the early bird registration, although we do have our group discount fees that are going to be available through May 13th that you might want to take advantage of. Oh, actually, our group registration is also up through today. Can't believe today's April 30th. Crazy. So there's also a detailed agenda that is up that you want to be able to preview to see what breakout sessions and speakers are available. So note that that is here as well. And we have 5 pages of detailed information. We do have that pre-conference day training that seems to be filling up quite fast. So there is pre-conference days based on a deep dive into Unanet financials, the enhanced project management techniques, an all-day drill down into enhanced project management, just really focused on that, and then building a strong foundations on Unanet basics. That's really a combination of the administrator basics configuration as well as some basic costing report setup and enhancements. Also, all including our latest Unanet 10 release that's due out here just shortly. Everything will be taught and discussed in that Unanet 10 version, and you'll want to make sure you come to the conference because you're going to learn all about what's available with our Unanet 10. Our financials package that is available, accounting, accounts payable, accounts receivable, calculating indirect costs within Unanet, all one solution, as well as the non-financials enhancements for projects, managing projects, as well as the billing and invoicing. So we have a lot of advancements in those areas without adding the accounting package or financials package licensing type. So it's really a not miss. Be sure to register your team as well. And it's in beautiful sunny San Diego, so it's a great place to network with other people, customers. There will be Unanet senior management there, developers, as well as Unanet consultants. So it's really a great, as well as training. So it's a really great way to come and learn all about Unanet and what more you can do with your Unanet. I think that's all today, Tammy.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. And if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at cam@unanet.com. Have a great day, everyone.